Hey everybody, it's Mr. Eason, and today we're going to talk about adding mixed numbers. Sometimes adding mixed numbers is really easy, and sometimes it gets a little bit complicated. And so we're going to look at a couple of examples today. We're going to try to stick to the more complicated versions, because the easier versions are just pretty easy, and I think we can figure those out on our own. We looked at two strategies in class. One strategy was to draw a model. And there are a few people who really enjoy drawing a model and they think they're really good at it, and that's fine. Others, we were working with a different strategy where you kind of break apart the number and add up the whole number and then add up the fractions. I'm going to show you both strategies for this question only, but I think personally that the other strategy where you're adding the different parts and then putting them together at the end is a little easier to understand. So that's the one I'm going to try to focus on. But we'll do the model first. If we're drawing this as a model, we would want to draw a picture of 2.5. And so I'm going to go ahead and get a box. And I'm going to start cutting them in half. And I'm going to get enough boxes to where I can make 2 holes and 1/2. And then I'm going to shade in 2 1/2. So there is 2.5 right there. So now I'm going to draw another box that would have, or another model that's going to have 1.5. I chose the wrong color. Cut them in half, and then I'm going to shade in 1.5. Here's 1. And then here is my half. All right, so what I do now is I just count up how much I have. I have 1 hole, 2 holes, 3 holes here. So there is my 3 holes. And then with my fractions, what you might notice is that I have half of one and half of another shaded. And so what I could do is I can move that shading from here over there. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to put it right in here. Okay? If I do that, that means that I have no more need for this box. And I don't know why I can't erase that. But anyway, I have no need for that, so I can kind of get rid of it. I guess I can do this. And I have not really 3 holes, but I have 4 holes. So 2.5 plus 1.5 is 4 holes. Now I'm going to show you a way without a picture to do this because I think that I would prefer to do it without a picture. The way I do it without a picture is I'm going to add the different parts together. I'm going to add 2 plus 1, and I'm going to add 1/2 plus 1/2. 2 plus 1 is 3, and 1/2 plus 1/2 you might think is 2 halves. Or you might also consider it as being 1 whole. And you put 3 and 1 together and you get 4. So we're going to focus on the strategy on the right side of the next 2 questions because I think that's a little bit easier to do. So this one's a little bit more complicated than the last one. I'm going to start off by doing the same thing. I'm going to add the whole numbers, 2 plus 1, and that's 3. Then I'm going to add the fractions, 3/4 plus 2/4, and that is 5/4. So some people might say that this is 3 5/4, but you cannot leave it as 3 5/4. You have to change it. And so you have to change 5/4 into a mixed number. We have used strategies in class of drawing this out, and so you could definitely do that really quickly. Drawing a model with 4 pieces. Shading in 5, which you realize you cannot do, so you draw another model with 4 pieces. You shade in 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 1 whole and you have 1/4. So we can write 5/4 as 1 and 1/4. And then you can just combine those 2 things together. 1 plus 3 is 4, and you put your 1/4 on the side. So 4 and 1/4 is the answer. We're going to look at one last question just to kind of give us a good idea of how this works. We're going to add the whole numbers. 3 plus 2 is 5. Then we're going to add the fractions. 7/8 plus 5/8. 7 plus 5 is 12. We keep our denominator the same of 8, and we have 12/8. And so once again, we need to figure out what 12/8 is equivalent to. I'm going to throw in one last thing. You could, instead of drawing this out, you could think of this as 8/8 and 4/8, because this right here is one whole. But if you didn't want to, you could always draw a picture of 12/8. There's a box with 8 pieces. Since I can't shade in 12, I draw another box with 8 pieces. I start shading in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I have 1 and 4/8. And then I put those things together, and I get 5 and 4/8. And this is the point where Mr. Easton says, I like your answer, but it does not show up as an answer choice on a test. And if you look at 4/8, you'll realize why. I can simplify 4/8. So really, the answer is 5 and 1/2, because 4 is half of 8. I can turn it into 1/2. That is a ton of work for one question. But this is the kind of questions that you might get in the 4th grade, and so it's important that we can kind of understand and try to figure them out. Okay? This has been Mr. Easton with Homework Help. Good luck, and I will see you tomorrow.